1. A good few years back, I was about 24, 25 years old. I went to Cyprus with my grandparents to visit relatives. My grandparents originally came from there and moved to the UK when they were like 16. My cousin, 14, female, also came along. Now, it's important to mention that we're Greek Cypriots. Certain things are expected when we visit relatives, such as helping out with things as we can and offering our help for whatever our host might be doing. It's also worth mentioning that I have a sight problem, but I'm extremely independent in spite of it. So we're visiting relatives, and every time I offer to help out, either taking dishes into the kitchen, bringing them out of the kitchen, washing up, even getting a glass of water, I kept being told to sit down, they could handle it. I didn't understand why, as I'm perfectly capable. I thought it might be to do with my eyes. One day we were visiting a great auntie of ours, who owns a little summer home by the sea, not too far from where we're staying. Now, when we visit this auntie, I always go swimming. She's literally not even a couple of minutes away from the sea. As I went to offer my help to my great aunt, I hear my 14-year-old cousin talking to her in Greek. Another important note, I can't string together a sentence in Greek. My father is English, and had something against us speaking Greek. But although I'm not a fluent speaker, I can read, write, and understand Greek. My family doesn't know this. They assume that because I'm not a fluent speaker, that they can basically hide their conversations between other people. My cousin was telling my great aunt how clumsy I am, how stupid I am, how I'm a little soft in the head. She was saying it in Greek. She thought I couldn't understand her. But I knew exactly what she was saying, even if I couldn't string sentences together myself. I knew what she was saying about me. I added 2 and 2 together and realized my cousin was very obviously telling my relatives all this. She did it because she thought she'd get praised if she helped bring out the food with me. I was angry, but I knew the perfect revenge. We ate lunch, and after we're finished eating, my great-aunt asked my cousin for help to take the dishes in and do the washing up, as she'd been on her feet most of the morning preparing the food. My cousin looked at me, knowing my great-aunt couldn't speak English, and said, "Hey, OP, Auntie needs help bringing the plates in and doing the washing up." Because now she was bored and expected to run off to the beach and leave me doing the hard work of cleaning up after. So I looked at her and said, "But I'm too stupid and clumsy and soft in the head to help Auntie out. Besides, she asked for your help, not mine." She went pale, realizing I knew what she'd said, but she doubled down. "I helped bring everything out. You could help take it all in." I laughed at her, picked up the book I'd brought with me, and I got up from the table, grabbed the towel I brought with me, and went to walk off. My cousin started whining to my grandparents that I wasn't helping her. My grandmother looked at her and said, "You made your bed, now lie in it. Your cousin caught you lying about her, and now she can go to the beach while you help your aunt." My cousin went completely white then. So I went to the beach, swam for about 30 minutes, and chilled out on a deck chair, reading my book under the shade of a nice umbrella. By the time my grandparents called me that they were heading home, my cousin had spent all of it helping wash up and dry things and put them away. She hadn't gotten to be lazy and go to the beach to enjoy the sea. I could have helped her. I simply decided that I wouldn't, as she never earned my help. Since then, every time we went to a relative's home and she was asked to help, I watched with a smirk on my face. To this day, I'm 37 this year, I still won't help her. She made out I was incapable to people, so now she suffers the consequences. It's the malicious compliance that keeps on giving to me. Now, for those wondering, I was born with congenital cataracts. I'm 85% blind. This didn't actually start out as something to carry on for years. I don't actually carry it on myself either. It started out as a consequence for her actions type of lesson. The family picked it up because she wouldn't admit to the lie, and no one liked her lying. They don't actually make her do extra chores when I'm not there, as the whole thing started because she said I was incapable. So the family basically told her she had to help out her incapable cousin. To this day, over a decade later, she still says I'm incapable, clumsy, soft in the head to any relatives that will listen. She's now a full-grown adult who refuses to let go of the lie, so the family has kept up her narrative because she won't let it go. Some have asked if my grandmother knew what was going on before I confronted my cousin. She did not. After I caught her lying about me and used her words against her, my grandmother straight away asked my great-aunt in front of us both if my cousin had said that. My great-aunt confirmed it, as she didn't know my cousin was actually lying. I'd already put two and two together and realized this was probably what my cousin had been doing with everyone we visited. My grandmother was one of 10 siblings that made it to adulthood. My grandfather was one of 6 siblings that made it to adulthood. We visited a lot of relatives. Since my grandmother found out my cousin had done this at my great-aunt's, my grandmother dug around and found out what I'd already guessed. When my grandmother actually asked why she thought it was okay to do this, she doubled down and basically claimed it was true. So my grandmother told our relatives that this was absolutely not true. She also told them that as my cousin refused to admit to the lie, that they should treat her as the only capable one when I was there. If she wants to lie about her family, my grandmother asked that they act towards her as if the lie were true. If I was incapable, then I couldn't possibly help out, but my cousin was not incapable. She'd be required to do the stuff they'd normally ask of me. Please don't get me wrong. She wasn't asked to do anything over the top like cleaning hunted kills, paving driveways, or herding cattle. She was asked to wash dishes, carry dishes in and out of the kitchen, drying and putting away clean dishes, simple things asked of anyone. They just made a point of only asking her when I was there, because of her refusal to admit to lying. She's 24, 25 now, with her own place, but she still goes around telling people the same lie about me. My grandparents didn't know about it until I confronted her with it. They just made a reactionary choice when they found out what she was doing. 2. Long ago, I worked at Ace Hardware. This in itself sucked majorly, but about 1 to 2 weeks after I start, another girl named Abby starts. She immediately rubs me the wrong way with a few of the comments she's made, but no, let's try to be friends. Oh ho ho. Cut to 9 months later, and we're in an all-out war, as much as you can be without getting fired. Co-workers don't like her because she doesn't work, but the GM likes her because she be giving out happy endings. Well, the GM gets fired, so now she's worried. Not worried enough to actually work, but worried enough to consider getting a new job. At this point, we're all ditching her to get work done around the store, so she blabs to a friend of mine that she doesn't want to report us, me and 2 others, to corporate for leaving her alone at the registers. But might just have to. Now, when I say I was at wit's end with her, I mean volcanically. So I'm like, let's be petty. I notice corporate always responds to Google reviews. Well, Abby be hitting her dab pen in the bathroom and stinking it up. We know because we walked in on her, so she leaves for her 3-day weekend, and I make a throwaway Google. Anon, 4 stars. The service is great, but the bathroom smells like weed. I come in the next day, and the store manager announces that corporate will be investigating an ongoing issue that has now permanently marred their store via a review. Bruh, I was doing my best not to laugh. When I mean we all knew it was her, I, me, and the managers included, they just couldn't prove it. We cut to the day Abby comes back, also my day off. Everyone is still laughing about it. Someone asks her if she's heard about the review. Of course she hasn't, so they fill her in. She laughs nervously and works her full shift. Girl ghosted, straight up abandoned her job. And oh, we couldn't have been happier. Job still sucked, but small victories. Turns out the new GM was going to fire her anyways, but I saved them the trouble. She called in and left early on a weekly basis. I tried to give her the benefit of the doubt, but then she hit me with, "Oh, your grandma's Japanese? So she talks like Hong Yi Chang Yi?" while making the dumbest goddamn face. Everything went downhill from there. And who can forget the classic, "Wow, you're just so brave to wear those clothes together." Purple and pink cargos and a t-shirt. Where we really started to be passive-aggressive was when she would wander off to either hide, flirt, or be on her phone. Store is busy and understaffed, can't have that. So I started calling her out on our headsets for everyone to hear. She didn't like having to actually work. If she found the chance, she was all over any guy she could find. Then she discovered she could take guys to the training room with no cameras and could go unnoticed if I wasn't at the registers. By this point, my coworkers and I devised a plan to straight up abandon her at the registers, because it's the only way she'll actually do her job. Note, they literally wouldn't allow more than one cashier. We'd get yelled at and our jobs threatened. She, of course, is constantly whining to go for a walk around the store to stretch her legs, aka go shopping. Doesn't want to work on the floor, just mess around. It's a hardware store, so like hella things to do anyways. She would literally wait until the last 15 minutes of her shift, then demand you let her walk around for that time. But if we were busy, then we'd flat out tell her no. Can't just leave 3 shelves of product on the floor so you can dick around. Of course, then she's telling my friends I'm such a bitch and woe is her. Not too long after this, she is literally refusing to have anyone else cover the registers. She demands that I solely cover for her. Because I'm closing shift, so it has to be me. Anyone else is unacceptable. She's none too shy about telling every employee that'll listen. Side note, that this girl had so many write-ups, but the GM threw them away all because, again, happy endings. But that's a whole novel's worth of workplace drama. By the end of this circus, I'm not even acknowledging her, and that's where the threat to report us comes up. There's other smaller and bigger things, but for now, this is the most of what I can remember. I can only recall most of the more memorable things. 3. About 5 months ago, I started a new job as an executive in an engineering company. I'm much younger than other colleagues at the same level, so I was faced with a lot of hostility from them. To prove myself, I had to work smarter and harder than ever. As it was in my authority, I cancelled the attendance policy for the people under my command, and moved that objective to management. Basically, it works as a list for the week, and whenever an employee is finished, they're free. So most of them would work like 12 to 14 hours for 3 days, and then have minimal or no work for the other 2, and have long weekends. It's a win-win situation. Nothing is late, and employees enjoy more personal time. In meetings, I'd be called off for having undisciplined subordinates, and I stand my ground in defending them. The last quarter reports indicated unheard-of performance with my people, which made me proud, of course, but the acrimony in the air was choking. A few days later, about a month ago, I got called to the meeting room. Some executives with the CEO were present. I had been told that my actions are negatively affecting other departments and causing stoppage, and everybody was demanding the same treatment as my department. I said no problem, then why don't the other executives do the same? To keep it short, a verbal fight started. Basically, I got very angry, lost control, and stated that I should be the CEO since I'm more capable than others in the room. All of them are older than me by at least 15 years. Immediately after that, the CEO told me I was demoted to the rank of engineer until further notice, and another executive would be in charge of my unit. I stayed calm and said, "Yes, sir," then returned to my office. My subordinates gathered for the weekly meeting, and I broke the news to them that I am no longer your boss, and told them the whole story. In came the new boss and cancelled every policy I made, and was the annoying boss cliché trying to impose his authority. I complied with everything he demanded while preparing to depart the company. My former subordinates kept demanding that I do anything I could to regain my position, but I declined every time. They would say, "We will follow your orders and will ignore the boss," but I'd say no. Then all of them united and did the same as me, doing exactly as demanded without questioning. I don't know why, but other departments followed along, just applying orders without any question. This caused a lot of delays and errors all over the company. In just 1 month, the situation was bad enough to catch the attention of the chairman of the board. Yesterday, I got called to the chairman's office. By the way, he's the one who assigned me the role at the beginning. I found the CEO present as well. The story was already told after he noticed my absence from 4 weekly meetings. Basically, I got a proposition to regain my position, but to consider the consultation of the CEO before any decision. I refused. Either more than before, or I'm leaving. After a rant from the CEO, it was settled that I regain my powers for now. But honestly, I wouldn't question leaving if a good opportunity presented itself soon. 4. This was not a big deal, but even after years I still find it funny. This happened years back when I was working as an IT for a relatively large engineering company, about 5 or 6 branches in our place. It was a great workplace. This was a family-owned business, and since it was funded using the father's money, Dick, he is given VIP privilege, basically. Everything he requests should be done without consideration, even if it fucks up the process, yada yada. Everyone in the office, and most of the people on other sites, people get transferred to other sites for managerial positions or to fill up any vacant positions frequently, knows this, and would constantly talk about him and his unrealistic demands. Like one time he requested to have access to all user emails since he fears sabotage from resigning and terminated employees, and wants their login info to be sent to him on an Excel sheet. This was declined, of course. Dick is also known for being an alcoholic, drinking as early as 4 a.m. inside his office, and would lash out at anybody when drunk. The IT guys were the common target for his lashing out since it's unavoidable that employees experience issues with their devices, and would tell us that, "This should not be happening. Why are we even paying you for this?" I was in the middle of my 30-day notice when we received an email from Dick, asking for all shared emails to be delegated to him, aside from those to whom he already has access. All 12 of them. In case you're not familiar, Outlook emails are stored locally in a file inside your device. More accounts you have access to, more storage space consumed. Even when there's a max storage space of 50 gig for these files, you can alter the maximum up to 300 gigabytes. But we never do this. Wow. We did it once. For him. Our team has gone to the lengths of convincing him not to do it since it would consume a fuck-ton amount of space on his device, and we could delegate to him the emails he needs at the moment instead. Then delegate some more later if a need arises. Basically saying his request is unnecessary, but nah, he wants them now, he wants them fast, and he wants them stored inside since he wants to look at the emails even without the internet on. Since we realized there was no convincing Dick about the risks, malicious compliance knocked on the door, asked to be let in, and shat on the floor. All shared folders were delegated to him, having around 20 to 30 gigabytes of emails and attachments each, configured to automatically download and be saved locally. The next day, we got a request to procure another laptop for Dick. Turns out while the emails were syncing, it got to the point where his storage was bottoming up. The device was starting to freeze a lot, and whenever he tries to delete other files just to make up available space, it would get replaced by the emails that were being synced in. He got so frustrated that he punched a hole in the screen. It's to say we were asked to revert to what we did the day prior, and set up his new device. A very nice event before I left the company. 5. Our revenge dress is a silk black dress designed by Christina Stambolian and worn by Princess Diana at a 1994 dinner at the Serpentine Gallery in Kensington Gardens. It is believed she wore this dress as an act of revenge in response to the televised admission of adultery by her husband Charles, then Prince of Wales, now King of Britain. You might be wondering why the fuck I'm making a Tudor revenge dress. Let me take you back 9 years when I started dating my ex. I was 27 and he was 21. We dated from November to February. In this time, he got really intense, like not even a month in, asking why I wasn't thinking about kids with him, getting mad why I won't let him take care of me, trying to change how my roommate at the time did things in our apartment. Insisted that he was living with me, even though I stated absolutely not, Not until you have lived on your own for a year at least. He was in his last year of college and living at home. Condescending, my appearance. Upset I asked for some alone time. I had to ask that I have a day alone or tell him I was having a sister night. And by the end, I'm pretty sure he was trying to get me pregnant. At the end of February, when I started to look forward to the warm months, I realized the idea of spending time with him. Well, I was miserable at the idea. So I broke up with him. For the next 6 months, he stalked me and harassed me, asking when we could be friends again. Mutual friends were telling me he was insistent that he was going to get me back. I swear, he thought everything in life was going to be like the movies or TV. He finally left me alone when he met the woman that became his wife. He got her pregnant, and then got married before the year was over. But the damage was done. I was a shell of a human and withdrew from the very small social scene in my area. He even had wormed his way into my oldest circle of friends that I never introduced him to, so I couldn't even hang out with my other friends. He burned bridges with the friends I met him with, though, so he finds a new circle of people too. A year or so later, my now boyfriend moves to the area. He is in the SCA, basically historical LARPing, and my ex has joined the SCA, so they meet and become friends. Long story short, my ex hasn't learned boundaries and that he can't just manipulate people around him without some people catching on, and he damaged his friendship with my now boyfriend. A year ago in September, my boyfriend and I started dating, and he finds out that I'm that Kelly Green 802, and we share stories and puzzle pieces get put into place. He is a bit worse than either of us thought. Anyway, my boyfriend wants me to go to an SCA weekend event, and I love to sew and wear costumes, so I'm down to make a simple dress and made a persona for the event. He did warn me that my ex will probably be there, and I say that's fine, I can ignore him. Side note, we live in a small community, so my boyfriend was trying to mend a fence with him, and I said I can ignore him, but I will not interact with him until he apologizes for how he behaved after we break up. He talked to X and said if you want to come to the things I host here, you will have to talk to Kelly. The camping weekend comes, and I was very able to ignore him, even if we were in the same group of people. But apparently after that weekend, he asked my boyfriend not to bring me to any events. Fast forward to now, and my boyfriend wants me to go to the holiday event in January. I plan on making the most elaborate Tudor gown with bedding and layers of fabric, and because of my boyfriend's rank in the make-believe kingdom court, I can wear a circlet, as I'm his consort. It is going to piss him off so much. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Revenge's Ice Cream, episode 199. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. Before you go, please do boop the like button and share the video around. Alright, let's see. I think this is Monday, isn't it? It's meant to be Monday, this one. It doesn't matter. Let's not stress ourselves out. Let's see. Let's move right along to Hellfreezer's question of the day. And today's question is, would you prefer longer days and more days off in the week, or shorter days and less days off? I know, speaking personally, for the way I choose to work, I do lots of work, knowing that it will free up time later in the week where I can do other things, be that other work-related projects, relaxing, hang out with friends. That's generally how I prefer to do, get as much done in one day, or several days, it really, as the case is, as possible, which gives you more time off later. That works for me, but it may not work for everyone. It may not fit with everyone's schedule. So, which would you prefer? Please pop your answers in a comment below. And with that, I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.